Huh? What a day yesterday was. Let's get us in a good space. Perfect. So here's something you should know, which is when people have strong emotions, it actually affects the magnetic field of the earth. They proved this. They've been proving it over the last 20 years or so, I think longer. But the definitive point was when on 9/11, all of the random number generators in the world got into order, did patterns. They no longer were random numbers because the heightened emotions of 9/11 happening changed and actually changed the magnetic field of the earth. And so everybody's going to be having problems with technology, with their computers, with everything right now, because this is a very crazy time we're in. This is, not just, oh, it's happening over there. You're going to be feeling it in your skin. You're going to be feeling it through anxiety. Let me make sure that I've got us up and I can follow our comments. Dun, dun, dun. Da-da-da. Oh, here we go. All right, perfect. Make sure that I've got us up and I can follow. Awesome. So we're in a time of transition, planetary transition. And I know I was never somebody who would say stuff like that. I was never someone who would be like, oh, the planets are in alignment. I didn't think that way. But the more you regulate, the more you center yourself, the more you get calm, the more things work out, the more that happens, the more sensitive you are to the energetic nature of the world. You start to be able to feel the connections you have with things. You start to see and understand the connections that you have with things. And because you do, you recognize that, yes, energy coming off of everybody, the wavelengths coming off of everybody and being a part of this big spider web, energetic spider web, we're all contributing to it. We're all taking from it. And everything we do affects everybody else on a level of wavelength, on a level of energy. So that's something you should be aware of. What you're doing by going through this challenge this week is you're raising your vibration, literally, physically, measurably. You're taking it out of dysregulation and tiny little spikes that can't get any traction and can't figure anything out to something that's regulated, where the spikes are big and they flow and they work and they bring everything else into harmony. It's the difference between a percussion band that's playing well and a percussion band that's just all falling apart because there's so many egos that everybody's doing their own thing. So all the work that we're doing here is actually for the good of everybody. When you care about yourself, when you nourish yourself, when you get yourself into alignment. I know last night I was awake at 2 a.m. and then I was awake at 4 a.m. Because things from yesterday, the talk with Dr. Love on Alzheimer's, that triggered me and got me thinking about my own family. The heightened anxiety that we can all feel of this tension and this worry that people have right now. We can feel it in these fields, in the magnetic fields, and the energy we feel in our skin, and the tension and anxiety and worry and emotions we have in our body. We're sensing what's going on a planetary level. And so because of that, hey, Laura, I'm glad that you were able to show up. We're feeling this, and the way that we can be move in a positive direction is by continuing to do exactly what we're doing this week, which is whenever you notice something that comes up, even if it's just as slight as, I can't believe they did that. That's our cue that we need to regulate. Negative thoughts, aggravation, aggression, all of that means that we need to regulate ourselves. It means that we're out of regulation and we need to get our heart and our brain and our nervous system flowing, measurably flowing. So today's all about wealth, another big hot button, right? I mean, wealth is a big deal, just like health is a big deal. So all the health stuff really stirred things up in me, and the wealth may stir things up in you too. And you may not even know until tonight. Hey, Nikki, nice to see you. You might not even know until you're sleeping tonight or tomorrow when you wake up worried about something that you got triggered. And so just sort of expect that you're unpacking emotions, that you're feeling things you hadn't felt before, that you're seeing things. We're more than halfway through this challenge, which means that if you've been following along and doing this, then you've been healing another piece every day. And it starts to add up, and it starts to magnify, and it starts to synergize together, and it starts to create something more. You may find that your sensitivity is even higher, that you're expressing things that you never thought you'd express because they're not who you want to be. They're not who you've chosen to be. Maybe you feel you've got a little bit of a slippery handle on how you feel, a slippery handle on what's going on. That's normal during this time. If you're waking up with anxieties or worries or frustrations, that's you healing. That's you moving forward. And if you do something, hey, Kitty, nice to see you. If you do something that when you're feeling that way, that makes you feel better, you're doing the right thing. That's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You're not supposed to be lying in bed, tossing and turning. I mean, because the thoughts coming up last night for me were around Alzheimer's with my family, with my dad. He's had some health issues, and I've seen other families and what happens if they have Alzheimer's. I know the reality. I'm not naive. I talk to women all the time and help them through these things. I talk to healers all the time. And so having this come up for me, I was awake at 2 a.m. So the smart thing to do is not lay in bed and worry about it and toss and turn. The smart thing to do is to do something that makes you feel good. I listen to my brainwave meditation music. I put my hand on my heart and focus on my chest. I'll look at something. I'll go someplace that's pretty, look at a beautiful picture, a beautiful scene. I might get up and meditate or journal or write. The key is to do something that makes you feel better when you don't feel good. I know it's hard to remember, and you end up feeling a little paralyzed. But the more we do the stuff we've been doing this week, the more sensitive you become to how you really feel, how you really think, what's really going on with you. And you're able to address it sooner and sooner and sooner. As my sister was on as a speaker earlier this week, she said, she used to wait until she was way over the top, stressed or angry or hurt or mad or frustrated before she would do something to feel better. I do that when I'm mad. When I get mad, I want to be mad. I want to stay mad. I want to hang out in the mad zone. And because I don't want to feel better, because I'm justifiably mad and I should express it. When really the kindest thing that I can do for me and energetically for the planet, let's say, the kindest thing I can do is to do something that's loving and compassionate for myself. Something that brings me out of the worry and out of the anxiety and brings me back into the flow, into that energetic flow of everything that's around us. So today, as I said, is a wealth day. So you may have some triggers. Even if it's not in the moment, it may come up later, like my Alzheimer's did around my dad. And that's okay. That's what we want. We want things to come up so that they can be cleared out. And you've got tools and you've got resources and you understand and you've got insight about how it all works. So the next one we're going to have is going to be Jenny. Jenny and Renee the hypnotist and Jenny the psychic. They're going to come hang out with us in about 45 minutes. And that will be a lot of fun. I got the schedule wrong. I thought Renee was going to be later today, but Renee's going to be hanging out with Jenny, just like we did a couple days ago. So it should be a lot of fun. I really liked both of them together. And so that'll be at 11. It'll be about what Spirit says about wealth and money and happiness and what it means and where it comes from. We just had a great conversation with Julie Murphy. It started about 20 minutes late because, as I said, there are technical problems right now. Everybody's emotions are high. Everybody's emotions are a little off the board. And because they are the magnetic field of the earth is affected. It's measurable. It's repeatable. They know where it comes from. This isn't, it's not... It's not something that's just being made up. Its emotions affect the magnetic field of the world and around the earth. And because it affects it, it will also affect all of our technology because emotions are so high around the whole earth. In fact, they think many poltergeist experiences have to do with heightened emotions because of the energy coming off of somebody. So we all have these beliefs about money. We all have these ideas that get in our way. I had a wonderful I had a wonderful listen to a lecture a couple weeks ago, and it was from a woman who had helped found like Feed the Children, helped found, be a part of, big starvation campaigns around the world, and spent her whole life sacrificing and volunteering and really being in that nonprofit world. And when she got into coaching, she realized she had to work through a lot of stuff, but she realized that money is simply an exchange of time. It's an exchange of energy. It isn't anything. We've placed emotions around it because of how we feel about it or how other people feel about it. But in reality, it's just an exchange of energy. If you give me the gift of your time and the gift of your love, yeah, it should be free. But as in Native American cultures, that was all part of the cultural. It was all part of well, of course you support these people. Of course you would. And in fact, the fact that, let's say, monks in Thailand are supported by the community, it shows a health of the community, that spiritual leaders and spiritual healers will be supported by society, will be supported by the community that they live in. We've gotten away from that in this culture, and we've changed it to more of a barter system. And so now money is how we support the people that do these spiritual practices, that move this way forward. So these are just some of the ideas that may get poked or pushed or triggered over the day, because your emotions around money will probably be strong. So every time you notice something, every time you notice a thought that's emotional of any sort, good or bad, I like to regulate whether the emotions are huge, joy, amazing, oh my God, I just want to win $1 million, or I regulate, or when I'm in a bad space, where I'm like, oh, I'm going to, this is never going to work out, and I'm going to be homeless and on a street corner. Both times, I get the emotions out of the way so I can see clearly, so I can see what's authentic for me, because it's the emotions that cause a lot of these challenges. It's us not dealing with them in a healthy way by calming ourselves down and loving ourselves. So wealth, you might be poked a lot today. You might not like me. You might disagree with me. You might disagree with the people who are speaking, and that's perfect. You don't have to agree with anybody. All we ask is that if you have an emotion, you regulate and you see what comes up. You see the memory or the idea, the feeling, the insight, the understanding, and you see what comes up for you. That's all. And if you do that, you're making a shift. If you do that, you are changing your baseline. And all these little shifts we've been making every day, they work together, like adding sunshine and water and fertilizer to a plant. So we're shifting all these different aspects just a little bit every day by regulating them, both the really exciting, wonderful things and the painful things and the anxiety that comes up at 2 a.m. When you're doing this, by doing this, you are changing who you are on a physical level. Hey, Tony, nice to see you. You're actually changing who you are on a physical level. So you're going to start noticing these changes. So wealth may trigger you a lot today because there's a lot of stuff around it. And it's time to unpack it, because you deserve to be able to live a life where you don't feel like you're always behind the 8 ball, where you don't feel like you're always giving more than you're getting in. You deserve to have a life that's sustainable for you, and not something that's constantly depleting your nervous system. And the only way to do this is to get both our positive and our negative charges around money out of the way. Hey, Diana, nice to see you. That's the only That's the only way to get clarity around it. That's the only way to get traction and move forward, is to stop being hijacked by our beliefs or memories or imprints around money. So then this afternoon, oh my gosh, who do we have at 2? Hang on, just checking. At 2, dun, 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 dun. Oh, we have Manny. That is so exciting. Manny's a comedian, and he's going to talk about personality and money and how it all works together. So he's going to have a great conversation. He was great last time. Everybody loved Manny. He's just so off the cuff. He uses comedy to help people develop confidence. It's pretty cool. So, and then at 3 o'clock Central Standard Time, we have Antonio and Ginny. Antonio is the one who does rental properties. He helps you learn how to do rental properties. He's a really great kid. He's got a lot of insight around rules and ideas we need to have with money. And he's going to be hanging out with Ginny. So it'll be a little triad conversation. He's going to be hanging out with Ginny, and Ginny is a women's burnout coach. And so the two of them together should have a really cool conversation. All right, I'm going to see everybody in 40 minutes. We're going to be hanging out with Jenny and Renee, and we're going to be talking about how Spirit thinks about wealth. And yeah, this will be a fun day. See you in a bit, guys.